What if everyone just refused to work in communities they can't afford to live in? It's just a random thought that won't leave my head. Basically a cost of living strike. If your rich suburb doesn't have either affordable housing or higher wages for teachers, restaurant workers and store clerks, your rich suburb doesn't get any teachers, restaurant workers or store clerks. Same for high-rise zip codes. Same for anywhere. For any job that requires you to work there, but doesn't pay you enough to live there. Everyone's 40 hours of work is valuable. So is everyone's free time. No one should have to commute 10+ hours a week to get to a job because there's no affordable housing in the area where the job is. Neighborhoods are nice because poor people are willing to commute to work in them. So stop working in places you can't afford to live. It's better for humanity and better for the environment. We have a unique opportunity right now with a shortage of workers. It's worth a shot. Isn't that what's kinda happening in San Francisco? Retail, food service closing down because it's just not feasible to have those kind of wages with that call. Something just has to give. This is why I'm so surprised the US never jumped at the chance to have public transit. I bet in hindsight corporations wish they didn't stamp it out because they could have been railing in wage slaves from the countryside to work in their stores. I think you're absolutely right. But either a concentrated effort to change things has to come from the top, which is exactly why we're in this broken system. They refuse to help pay livable wages, or even in many cases don't pay taxes that could help the poor get a better chance at survival. Or, the system will continue the way it is until it breaks. I.e., the low wages that are not being increased to match for rising living costs will get so bad that they will end up losing these essential workers as service business start to dwindle because of it. I believe capitalism will indeed bring about more homelessness if it's not reined in with socialist policies as protection for the lower classes. It's only a matter of time. Vermont would be empty except for college students and snowbirds. Mobility is expensive, but something akin to a minimal UBI would permit people to vote with their feet and move to more affordable regions. It's a cute idea. The problem is simply that there will always be more opportunities for work in more affluent areas. People with money spend it. There will always be someone else desperate enough to take that job. That's how capitalism works. So stop working in places you can't afford to live. There are no jobs paying a living wage in the community I can afford to live in. I commute an hour to get to my job. If I refused to work in this community, I couldn't pay my bills. And pretty soon I'd be desperate enough to suck it up and work in this community again. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea, but I simply don't see any possible opportunity for this without a wide-scale agreement among millions of workers across the country, and that just doesn't exist. Yes, a general strike is highly effective. This is the current situation at the grocery store I work for or in upper middle class neighborhood, and even the teenagers refuse to work for what we pay to start. The ironic part is that any high-end, desirable township with no teachers, cafe and restaurant, retail workers will very quickly become a very undesirable township. Ibiza, it's getting very close to that. There is nowhere for the servers etc. to live with the wages that are paid. It's basically Ayn Rand, except she got it wrong. And it's the workers who opt out and disappear and take their labor elsewhere. And the rich people are like, where did everyone go? Happened years ago in Aspen. They provide free public transit up and down the Roaring Fork Valley to get people to their jobs. The businesses would get a bailout, and the workers would starve. just stop having a paycheck isn't an option for most people. Our plumber's shop would close down, that's for damn sure. They have to be able to afford to move out of them. It will always balance itself out. Fewer people around means more of an employee's market, and wages will rise. Those who stay in a company will use the levers as bargaining chips for raise. Hard to take teachers away from rich suburbs when they pay so much in taxes. Builders won't invest in low-income housing in expensive areas because the market value there makes much more money. Builders front the money and get subsidized by the government to make low-income housing. That's what's happening now. In Seattle, housing has gone up 5x in 20 years and wages have doubled. We can't hire younger staff to replace those who retire. It's gotten ugly.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.